All right, man's best friend helping out wounded servicemen and women who come home from Afghanistan.
There's a group called the Canine Companions for Independence, and their Wounded Veterans Initiative provides service dogs to injured vets. This morning, we're joined by retired Army Captain James Van Thach, and he's here with Canine Companion Liz, along with Colonel Dave Woycik. Welcome to you. And we've been saying all morning we should thank our servicemen and women, so I'll start with that. Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
For everything you've done and for being here as well this morning.
Thank you.
What a well-behaved dog. This dog is incredible. Just sitting there. So tell us about your service, your injury, and how you came to be associated with this organization and eventually get this beautiful dog.
Yes. I graduated Turo Law Center in 2002, and after I graduated, I volunteered to go to Iraq, and I served as a military advisor in the Iraq War. I was injured over in Iraq, and when I came back, I was medically retired from the Army, and during my injury, I found out about Canine Companions for Independence at the Northport VA, and I applied to receive a service dog.
And you've had this same dog ever since?
Yes, since last week Friday I had her when we graduated from the Canine Companions for Independence course.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
How does Liz help you out day to day? I'm sure not just physically, but you know, she's your pal, and
Yes.
a lot of people talk about post-traumatic stress disorder.
Correct. When I was in Iraq, I suffered from a traumatic brain injury, a neck injury, and a back injury, as well as sciatic nerve damage on my left leg. So I, at times, do drop things, and one of the most important things I need is my medication. So she's able, on voice commands, to pick up my medication and give it to me. And on a emotional level, to having a constant companion there with me, it's good to, on a connection level, that we have a very positive relationship together.
Incredible.
And Colonel, tell us about your role in all of this.
Yeah, well, I was in the military for 30 years in Desert Storm, so I know a lot of troops who came back with a Desert Storm syndrome, environment, post-traumatic stress disorder. And by staying in the military, I was at Fort Dix during the war against terrorism. And again, we saw a lot of soldiers coming back with these physical and mental ailments. And I've been connected with CCI for the last 2.5 years, where we raise the puppies, families raise the puppies, then we bring them back in. Year in their homes, 6 months formal training, and then we match them up with a service member so they can get along in civilian life.
And it's amazing what he said, that these two have only been together for a week now.
Correct.
I figured you'd been together for a decade. The way that this dog is just sitting there and knows what it's there to do. It's incredible.
The training is intense. The trainers are unbelievable. It's out in Medford, Long Island. If you have a free day, come out, because you'll see all Labradors, Golden Retrievers. Those are the best mix of dogs, and they really bond together.
You know,
Go ahead. No, one thing military, you have a lot about trust and camaraderie. And when you leave the military, you come to the civilian world, you sort of lose that camaraderie and trust. The dogs provide that trust and camaraderie because you can count on that person. And I think this is going a long way to, and this man here is, he's my hero. He's idol,
Thank you, sir.
You know, this Memorial Day weekend, we've been around a lot of kids, the cousins, and everybody wants a dog, right? All kids want a dog, but this is a fantastic way for families to help out, because you mentioned that these dogs, they begin their training by staying with different families, and you adopt a dog for a short period of time, and then that dog moves on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's, they have the dogs for about a year, and the families at graduation then give up the dogs to the service member or the person with disability who needs the dog. So you see the happiness of the person getting the dog, and you also see the sadness of the puppy raiser.
Right.
And it's, you see these kids and they're crying, on the day, but most of them get multiple dogs.
Right.
Okay.
So they train one and then they get another, it becomes a process.
And you mentioned that you served during the Gulf War, you served in Iraq, and we did a story earlier today that 45% of the 1.6 million or so people who served in Iraq and Afghanistan are coming back and applying for disability. There's a huge backlog, and they think it's probably the trauma from multiple deployments overseas. What do you have to say about how we as a country are taking care of those? Because obviously the people there have been through a great deal. They've done multiple tours. Are we doing enough to make sure that people coming back are getting the services that they deserve and require, do you think?
Yeah. You want to answer?
I think what's very important is the soldier or the military person has to be proactive in ensuring that they have copies of every single medical examination they have. If you have copies of all your medical examinations and provide it to the Veterans Administration and then continue to follow up on them, because if you just wait, nothing's going to happen. You have to have the copies, follow up with phone calls, and be proactive, and then it will occur. Because that's what I did, and currently right now I'm at 100% with the Veterans Administration.
Fantastic. And one of the great benefits of having Liz as a service dog, you can take her anywhere. You know, you can take her inside places normally pets would not be allowed in, and there are all kinds of rules and regulations about pets in apartments or homes, but there won't be a problem with Liz, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great.
And you know, one of the important aspects of having a service, a lot of the servicemen and women who come back do have physical and emotional ailments, post-traumatic stress disorder, particularly. A lot of when someone sees someone who's disabled or injured, they look at that person and form an opinion. When there's a dog involved, it takes it off the person, puts it on the dog, and then they say, look at what this person can do.
Right, right.
And it's a tremendous morale booster for everybody around, the person who has the dog and the person who's looking at the dog.
Well, Colonel, Captain, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Incredible, this dog. I can't believe the connection you already have with it. It's really beautiful to see. All right, let's get over to